Okay, this is factor by inspection. So far we've learned factor by multiples and sums, M and A, and we've also learned decomposition. Okay, this is by inspection. So the way it works is you're going to look at multiples of the first and last term. Okay, so multiples of this coefficient is 1 and 1. That's all it can be, right? Multiples of x, so it's x and x. Multiples of 10 could be 2 and 5, or it could be 10 and 1. Okay? There's no other multiples of 10. Agreed? There's no other whole number multiples of 10. Either 2 and 5 and 10 and 1. Does everybody understand that when I say multiples? Okay. Okay, next thing you need to do, you need to pay a lot of attention to these two signs. Okay? The first sign tells you what do I have to do? Do I have to add up the numbers, or do I have to subtract the numbers to get the middle term? Okay, because this is a positive, that means I need to add the two numbers to get this term 7. Okay, so this sign here tells us I need to add the two numbers. Okay, next we do multiples now of these numbers, these 4 numbers, or these 4 numbers. Okay, so you're going to consider one case at a time. You're going to consider the 1 and 1 with the 2 and 5, or you're going to consider the 1 and 1 with the 10 and 1. Those are the two scenarios you need to consider. Okay, why? Because they're the only multiples of 1, and they're the only multiples of 10. So, can I add 2 and 5 to make 7? Yes, I can, right? Can I add 10 and 1 in any way? No, I can't. Okay, and I draw these lines because you're going to see later on when we do the equations with a coefficient here, these are going to be numbers here and they're going to multiply. So that's why we draw these lines to connect. I want to use 2 and 5. So here, these are my numbers. Okay, so I can ignore this. All right, why are those two my numbers? Because they're going to add to make 7. Okay. So it's one step. I can draw my brackets. The first term is always these two here with the variable x. Okay? So 1x and 1x. So that's set up. I use those two first terms and I put an x and an x there. Next, I'm going to put the two numbers. Now the sign of these numbers, so the numbers are 5 and 2. Okay? The sign of these numbers now are dictated by these signs. Okay? Because it's positive, that means this sign tells me that both of these numbers have the same sign. So it's easy. It's positive, they have the same sign. Why? Because they have to add together. Just like I explained in the first step. They have to add together, so they have the same sign. What sign is that? It's going to be dictated by this sign. So it's positive. Okay, that was confusing. It's okay. We're going to do a few more. It should start to make sense. They're both the same sign. What sign? Positive. Okay, so there's your answer. Next one. You're going to put the multiples, 1 and 1, 1 and 24, 2 and 12, 6 and 4, 8 and 3. These are all multiples of 24. And you can just, go in order, 1, 2, 3, 4 if you want. Doesn't matter which one you put on top or which one you put on the bottom. I could have wrote this like this. Okay, so of these multiples now, I want two numbers, again, that add to give me 10. Don't worry about this sign yet. They're going to add to give me 10. So 1 and 24, no. 2 and 12, no. They don't add to give me 10. They subtract to give me 10. These are no good. These are no good. 3 and 8, nope. There's my numbers. Okay? So I go and I write out my one step. In this case, D and D. Always write it like this. Write your two numbers, 4 and 6. And now do the signs at the end. So it's positive, so they're both the same sign. What sign? It's positive sign. Positive 6 and positive 4. Done. Okay? Next example. Gets trickier now with the negative signs. If ever you have a negative sign in front of the leading variable or the square term, you have to factor it out. Okay, you have to get rid of it. You can't do any of this inspection with a negative sign here. Okay, so if I had this question like this with a negative sign here, let's say this question looked like this. Okay, that was your question. It said factor. I would have to do this first. -1 y squared minus 5y plus 4. Okay, I would have to take that out so I have a positive in front of my y squared. Okay, so you can't factor if you have a negative in front of your square term. You have to divide it out of each term, and now you're factoring this. Yes? Okay. Definitely not going to last, but we'll keep going. Did it stop? Still going, right? Okay. Okay, so now I keep that -1 on the outside, and I go to factor this. How do I factor? I put my multiples here, 1 and 4, 2 and 2. Okay. Now I need two numbers again that add, because there's a positive sign here, that add to give me 5. Can't use 2 and 2. 4 and 1 can add to give me 5. So those are my numbers. So I put in y here, I put in 4, I put in 1, and now my sign, because the middle term is negative, they're both negative. Okay? So positive means they add. This tells me what sign. All right, let's speed this up a bit. 1 and 1, 1 and 9, 3 and 3. Okay, I want to add to make 10. I'm going to use 9 and 1. 9 and 1. I'll set up my brackets. 9 and 1. They're positive, so they're both the same sign. What sign? It's negative. Okay. I want to, now because this sign is negative, I want to subtract to make 5. So what numbers subtract to make 5? So 14 and 1 or 2 and 7? It's 2 and 7.
Sir, is that 0 squared?
No, G. So I have a G there and a G here. 2 and 7. What are my signs? Now, because this is negative, this is very important now, guys. Because this term is negative, that means that the terms had to subtract. So they're different signs. They're negative and positive. Because this is a negative sign here, that means the larger multiple is negative. Okay? So what's larger, 7 or 2? It's 7. So -7 and +2. Okay, I'll do one more before we take questions on that one. So 1 and 1, 1 and 4, 2 and 2. So this is a negative. So what two numbers subtract to give us 2? Subtract to give us 2. So 4 and 1 give us